Imagine a moment when nothing existed. No time, no space, no matter, not even thoughts about what could exist. And suddenly, in an instant, something incredible happened. A big bang that gave rise to our universe. This theory, proposed by scientists in the 20th century, suggests that the universe was born from a tiny, super dense point that suddenly began to expand, creating everything that surrounds us. But a logical question arises. What was there before that? What was beyond this mysterious point? Was there really a Big Bang, or is it just one of many hypotheses? These questions, frightening in their scale and complexity, remain unanswered to this day. In an attempt to understand the origin of everything, scientists have put forward many theories, each offering its own scenario of events before the Big Bang. Some of them sound so incredible that they begin to cause shivers. Today we will look at 5 such theories, each of which makes us wonder what really happened before the beginning of our time and space. And could it be that the Big Bang is not the beginning, but only part of a more complex and frightening process? Imagine that our universe is not a unique phenomenon, but only one in an endless series of universes, each of which arises, develops, and then disappears, giving way to the next. This theory, known as cyclic or oscillating, suggests that the Big Bang was not the beginning of all existence, but only a stage in an eternal cycle of births and destructions. The essence of this theory is that after each Big Bang, the universe first expands to a certain maximum and then begins to contract until it collapses into a point of infinite density. This process, known as the Big Crunch, heralds the next Big Bang, and everything starts all over again. This continues indefinitely, and our universe is one of countless cycles that have occurred before and will continue after us. What is frightening about this theory is, first and foremost, its ruthlessness. All of humanity's achievements, discoveries, and efforts will ultimately be erased when the universe collapses back into a point. In this scenario, there is no ultimate goal or meaning to the cycle of endless births and deaths. But even more frightening is the thought that this cycle could continue forever, and that none of the previous or subsequent cycles will ever be any different from the others. Roger Penrose, one of the most eminent physicists of our time, has proposed a fascinating and at the same time frightening theory that challenges our understanding of time and space. According to his concept of conformal cyclic cosmology, our universe does not have a clearly defined beginning and end, but is an infinite sequence. Penrose asserts that as the universe expands, all matter gradually decays, and only photons, particles of light, remain. At this point, the concepts of space and time in the usual sense disappear, and the universe enters a phase resembling a new beginning. This process repeats itself indefinitely, and each new eon begins with a Big Bang that inherits the remnants of the previous eon. What is so frightening about this, you may ask? First, the very idea that our universe is just one of many eons. Our efforts and achievements may simply be swept away by future cycles. Secondly, according to Penrose, traces of previous eons can be found in the cosmic microwave background radiation, which suggests that we live in a world that has already experienced countless cycles of birth and destruction. Imagine absolute emptiness, a state in which there is no matter, no energy, not even time and space. It seems that such emptiness makes it impossible for anything to arise. This is the basis for one of the most striking theories about what could have preceded the Big Bang, the theory of vacuum fluctuations. According to quantum mechanics, even in the emptiest vacuum we can imagine, random quantum fluctuations are constantly occurring. These are spontaneous and temporary bursts of energy, resulting in virtual particles appearing and disappearing for a brief moment. It is precisely such fluctuations that could have given rise to the universe. The vacuum fluctuation that led to the birth of our universe could have been extraordinarily powerful, resulting in the creation of all known forms of matter and energy, as well as space and time. The theory suggests that a universe similar to ours could have arisen from nothing as a result of a random quantum event. But here's what's really scary. If our universe came into being by chance, what's to stop it from also disappearing by chance? This theory also makes us think about how fragile our reality is. If the entire universe is just the result of a random fluctuation in the vacuum, then its existence is nothing more than a temporary accident in an infinite sea of emptiness. This means that everything around us, including ourselves, arose from nothingness and can disappear as suddenly as it appeared. The complexity of this theory lies in its philosophical aspects. We are used to thinking of the universe as something stable and constant, but vacuum fluctuations show that even the most stable state can be disrupted. The vacuum is not empty in the usual sense. It is filled with potential energy and the possibility of creating something new, but at the same time it carries the threat of the sudden disappearance of everything that exists. This idea is also frightening because, within the framework of quantum mechanics, there is nothing that could prevent such an event from happening again at some point, even billions of years from now. Fluctuations could give rise to something new, destroying our reality in the process. Imagine that everything you see, feel, and experience is not reality, but a virtual simulation created by a highly developed civilization or even artificial intelligence. The simulation theory asserts that our universe is just a complex computer program where everything from the smallest particles to giant galaxies exists only thanks to the computational processes taking place on some supercomputer. This idea was popularized by Nick Bostrom, who argues that a sufficiently advanced civilization can reach a level of technological development where it becomes possible to create a complete simulation of reality. Considering the incredible speed of development of computer technology and artificial intelligence, this becomes truly frightening. Perhaps we are already living inside such a simulation and are completely unaware of it. But what is so frightening about this theory? First of all, the very idea that everything we consider real may turn out to be artificially created and controlled by someone. Our lives, emotions, thoughts, all of this could be just a set of data in a huge computing system. And if that is the case, then we have no control over our destiny because everything could depend on the settings or whims of the creators of the simulation. Another frightening aspect is the possibility that the simulation could be stopped at any moment, just like any computer program. The simulation can be interrupted or reset, and our entire reality will disappear without a trace. We will not be able to predict this moment or prevent it, because this possibility will be completely inaccessible to us. Perhaps we will never know whether we live in a real universe or in a simulation, but the very possibility that it is an artificial creation can be frightening. Imagine that before the Big Bang there was absolutely nothing, no matter, no energy, not even time. This is not just a vacuum that we can imagine in quantum mechanics, but a complete absence of everything, absolute emptiness. This theory asserts that before the Big Bang, there was absolutely nothing, and the universe itself arose from this nothingness as a result of an incredible and possibly random event. Absolute emptiness is not just the absence of something, but a state that causes fear with its incomprehensibility. Unlike other theories that suggest the existence of some kind of process or matter before the beginning of the universe, this theory claims that there was absolutely nothing that could explain its birth. No energy, no forces, just absolute nothingness. This theory is frightening primarily because it deprives us of the ability to comprehend our existence. If everything around us came from absolute emptiness, then that means that our existence may have no reason or purpose. We live in a world that could have come into being completely by chance, without any plan or design. Furthermore, the idea that absolute nothingness could return if the universe disappeared is truly frightening. If the universe could arise from nothing, why couldn't it disappear back into nothingness? No laws of physics or principles that we know of can explain or prevent this. Unlike other theories that at least partially rely on science, the theory of absolute emptiness remains on the verge of philosophy. For decades, the Big Bang theory has remained dominant in cosmology. According to it, our universe arose about 13.8 billion years ago from a point of infinite density and temperature, which suddenly began to expand, giving rise to everything we know today: stars, galaxies, planets, and even time itself. But despite the vast amount of data supporting this theory, more and more scientists are questioning whether the Big Bang actually happened. Doubts arise for several reasons. First, observations of the cosmos show that early galaxies and stars existed surprisingly early, only a few 100 million years after the supposed Big Bang. This, of course, calls into question the idea that the universe had to go through a long journey from chaos to order. Second, there are a number of alternative models that offer completely different explanations of the origin of the universe. For example, Roger Penrose's theory of cyclic cosmology asserts that the Big Bang was merely a transition from one cycle to another, rather than the beginning of all existence. Other theories, such as the vacuum fluctuation hypothesis or the absolute void hypothesis, propose concepts in which the Big Bang may not play a central role at all. But what if the Big Bang did not actually happen? Without it, we would have to look for new explanations for why the universe is the way it is and where it all began. The question of whether there was a Big Bang raises many questions, for example, about the nature of time, space, and reality itself. If we reject this theory, we will have to face even more frightening questions. Does the universe have a beginning? Each of these theories in their own way is frightening. The infinite cycle theory suggests that everything we know may be just one of countless repeating acts in a cosmic theater. Vacuum fluctuation makes us wonder whether our entire universe is just the result of chance, and nothing is stopping it from disappearing into nothingness again. The simulation theory calls into question the very reality of our existence by suggesting that we view it as an artificially created illusion. Absolute emptiness reminds us of the fragility of existence and the possibility of the complete disappearance of all that exists. The question of whether there was a Big Bang leaves us in a state of uncertainty. Perhaps our universe had no beginning in the usual sense, and the Big Bang is just one of many hypotheses that may eventually give way to new theories and discoveries. Despite the frightening nature of these theories, they also inspire further research in the search for truth, because every mystery of the universe that is solved brings us closer to understanding how our world is structured and why it exists.